All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2020. Insert apocalyptic joke here. This is the day 11. We are in the double digits now. Um, so today, um, I'm going to talk about Critical Role drama. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, the reason I would like you guys to remember is I have a unique perspective on this that I hope can be used to provide clarity and perhaps resolve some issues. The second one, the one that you are probably going to remember, Critical Role drama is popular on this channel. My most popular videos are about it, um, and I have a really strong opinion about this. This is so yeah. Hopefully, you guys don't get too mad at me for jumping on a bandwagon, but I promise I'm not going to perpetuate negativity or anything like that. If you are still here, recently, Matt Mercer had to make an impressive series of tweets, and I'm actually going to bring them back up just so I can reference them because wow, did when I first read these to the tweets, because I haven't been caught up on Critical Role in like 2 or 3 months, mental health and everything like that, and it's a long show, and I have, with my anxiety, I have really hard times paying attention to something that long. I just haven't been able to catch up. I am caught up now. Dear God, Matt Mercer, you are a monster. To your players. I thought I was rough on my players. No. But he did this post thread on to the Twitter where he was talking about um some recent issues that the community itself had with shippers. If you're not familiar with the term shipping or shippers, this is not talking about taking goods from one place to another over water. Shipping in fandoms is when people that are watching something pick characters that they decide should be in a relationship. That's where the word shipping comes from, is relationship. Oh, I totally ship these two. And there are a lot of different flavors of shipping. I have made videos before on this channel. I think one of them might be the Daily December from a previous year, where I talk about the fact that I am not overly fond of shipping culture in general, simply because a lot of times the mental gymnastics people go through, and Mercer mentions this in his the thread. The mental gymnastics people go to find ways to justify that their ship is real is really exhausting. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying that this is how all shipping works, but I've seen it enough times where the people that are shipping aren't doing it for a love of the characters or anything like that, and they're actively going against what the creators have written for the characters to kind of fit this story they've created in their own head. And that really irks me because I know how much work goes into creating stories and the things like that. And to have someone go, well, I've decided that this is how this story goes, and you are a horrible person for not taking my ideas that I never told you, nor did you ever ask for. So I'm not particularly fond of shipping. I'm not saying it's a horrible, disgusting to the thing or anything like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying I don't like it. I will probably never be involved in any sort of shipping conversations because it's just not fun for me. It actively takes the fun out of things for me. However, we're not talking about just shipping. We are talking about something bad enough that Matt Mercer had to say some rather choice words to the community. Now, part of this is really interesting because the only reason I know what this is about now, like I read the thread when it came out and I was completely lost. Matt Mercer is a master of saying things and getting his point across without revealing anything. So I had no idea what this was referring to. I got what Matt Mercer was saying and I agreed with it, but I didn't know what it was. I immediately went over to the Critical Role subreddit. There was no discussion of it there whatsoever. The Critical Role subreddit used to be a place I would go to get information when the things were happening. They have kind of locked it down. And it may be that I was just too early there and there is a discussion. But from what I've seen, they have locked down this as a subreddit so much to a point that finding out what's happening in the community, you will never find out from this as a subreddit. The subreddit is really just a place to gush over the show. You really can't figure out what's, or at least I haven't been able to figure out what's happening in the community and the things like that. And I think that's kind of sad. I understand why they do it because they don't want the toxicity to show up there. But yeah, sometimes you need to talk about stuff like this. To let people know exactly what went on, very minor spoilers for Campaign 2, Episode 1-8-10, which was the most recent episode that aired last Thursday. Not, I have to look at the dates now. Not the 10th, but on the 3rd of December, that episode. So what happened, without revealing too much, is two of the characters kissed. Not going to say which ones. It's really not that hard to find out if you want to know. But in order to avoid as many spoilers as possible, I will just say there was a situation and two of the characters kissed. Now, one of the characters involved in this kiss is really, really heavily talked about in the shipping community. This particular character is shipped with quite a few different other characters in the show. And what ended up happening was the people that shipped this character with a character that they didn't just kiss became furious. They became unbelievably vindictive and evil, and they started attacking people and saying horrible things and becoming the very definition of toxic. And it turned into this really, really big thing where people are accusing Matt Mercer of erasing things and doing, like, accusing him of things he's never done, never even thought about doing. And he had to put up this message of, hey, shipping is okay, ship away, but don't invest so heavily in the ship that you start, sending death threats and the things like that to the creators when your ship isn't realized. Just because that's what you see doesn't mean that's what's actually happening with the characters in this as a story. And again, I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly, but I have no idea what was going on. I eventually, YouTube actually recommended a video from I I'm gonna mispronounce your name. I'm very sorry about this. Maukus Noise, I think is what it is. MAUKUSNOISSE. Where they to talk about this situation. They actually gave me details, which was great because I had no idea what was going on because I very rarely look at the Critical Role hashtag on Twitter because it gets bad really quick. And the normal places I go to find out stuff were completely silent. Marcus had some choice words to say about the situation. Basically said if you're going to be toxic, you don't belong to the fandom, which is an extremely common thing to happen when you see a portion of a group you belong to, whether it's a fandom, whether it's a political party, whether anything like that. An extremely common thing to do is say, well, you, because of your actions, you don't actually belong to this group anymore. You are not a true critter. You are not a true this, that, or whatever. And you effectively excommunicate these people for what they did. It's incredibly common. It's also incredibly bad. And I hear a lot of you people, and by here I mean in my brain, I'm imagining a lot of you going, no, get rid of the toxicity, and everything is better. Get rid of all the bad people. Bad people shouldn't exist. We need to get rid of them, separate them from society. They don't belong here. This has become a purveying belief structure. Where you identify people that you decide are bad, that don't fit into your standards of what this particular society should empower, and you decide to excise them, excommunicate them. They need to be completely removed from the rest of the populace. This doesn't work. What always happens, especially when the society that you are excommunicating them from has no formal structure, like a fandom. No one can really tell you you're not a critter or you are a critter. It's a decision you make for yourself. So excommunicating someone from the group doesn't work, because they can just say, I'm not excommunicated. And look at all these other people that say I'm not excommunicated. They're fine with me being here. I think you're excommunicated because you're not believing this tenet of our belief structure. And you eventually creates as a civil wars within fandoms, within societies. We're seeing it in politics right now. And I'm not going to get political about this, but if you wonder if this whole get rid of the bad people that don't fit my version of this group works, look at our country, look at the U.S., look at the entire world right now. It doesn't work. All it does is fuel warfare, fuel strife, and break apart communities. I understand the thought process behind it. You're very protective of your group. You want it to thrive, especially people like me who have been there since day one. I was one of the OG critters, to the point where on stream, Matt Mercer has referred to me personally as one of the OG critters. It was either Matt or Liam. I can't remember which. But I can wear that title because they have declared me that. So yeah, it hurts a lot when I see people taking something that I helped build, and I watched grow and take it and turn it into something nasty, and you use it to hurt people. I absolutely despise that, and I don't want people doing that. But the most effective way to deal with people in a group that are not acting in the way you feel they should, that are betraying the group from the inside, is not to excise them. It's to understand them. Conflict in general relies on a lack of communication. As soon as people start talking, conflicts break down every single time. As soon as they stop talking, they stop listening, conflict rises. Conflict gets bigger and bigger and bigger until one side permanently silences the other. And that's all that ever happens. And then what will happen is when the other side is permanently silenced, it doesn't mean that what they thought or what they said goes away. It just means those particular people won't be fighting that fight. Someone else will take up their cause. It's how it always works. The absolute best thing you can do is learn about why someone is doing something that you feel reflects badly on your society, on your group. The why is more important than the what. I say this all the time. It is one of my rules of training. The why is more important than the what. The what is what you do. The what is their actions. And a lot of people will go, well, actions define you. You know, you are what you do. Yes, I don't deny that. Talking about what you think you should do is worth a lot less than actually doing it. Actions do speak louder than words, but the motivation behind the actions are more important than the actions themselves. Because if you understand those motivations, you actually understand what the purpose of the actions was, what the change was supposed to happen because of those actions. And you can predict what their next actions are going to be. Because once you understand the why, the what is kind of irrelevant. Because whether that what succeeds or fails, the why is going to remain. And they're going to find other ways to do the why. The whats are going to keep coming, but the why isn't going to change. So, I've seen a lot of people that talk about this toxic. I believe Marcus said something similar on the lines of, I don't understand why people do this. And you see this all the time. I can't understand why someone would do this. It just doesn't make sense. And they use that justification of, well, they're doing something that is impossible to understand. Therefore, they cannot belong to this group because they're completely irrational. They're doing something that they shouldn't be able to do. Therefore, we can cut them off. It's not how it works. When people do irrational things, they are not irrational in their head. They understand perfectly why they're doing what they're doing. Sometimes they don't consciously understand why, but your brain doesn't work with irrationality. It doesn't like that. Your brain will do these massive somersaults and things like that to make things make sense because it can't function in a world of chaos. It needs structure. We as humans, we will actually find structure where there is none. That is how much our brain is hardwired to make things make sense. So if someone is doing something that doesn't make sense to you, it's because you don't have all the facts that they have. And by facts, I mean the things that they believe to be true, not the things that are actually true. You are missing a piece of the puzzle, and that's why what they're doing seems irrational. We cannot take irrational actions. Our brains don't let us do that. They will come up with a way to deal with it. When you are experiencing things that conflict with your brain's internal logic, you experience what's called cognitive dissonance. It is an extremely unpleasant experience where the world itself doesn't make sense, and your brain can't function that way. Everything has to make sense for your brain, and so you may start believing absolutely bonkers things because it's the only way to justify the cognitive dissonance. Your brain will actively work to get you out of cognitive dissonance. And if it has to create completely unrealistic scenarios for you to believe, you will. That's how our brains work. So bringing this back to shipping, why do people get so invested in these ships? I cannot say this is 100% for certain. However, my own experiences with obsession and mental health, and my experience dealing with other people that have had severe mental health issues, has shown me a lot of the times when people take an irrational approach to something that shouldn't matter. The reason why is they have either consciously or subconsciously imposed themselves into this as a situation. My theory, and that's what this is the theory, but it's one that makes a lot of sense, is these shippers that are becoming toxic are becoming toxic because they have used the Critical Role characters as self-inserts into this story. They have identified heavily with one aspect or something about a character, and either consciously or subconsciously, they have decided that is me. The Laura Bailey is playing me. I am Jester. And when this stops being about a fictional character and starts being about that's me, and those things are happening to me because I'm the exact same person as the character that Laura Bailey is playing, or that Liam O'Brien is playing, or that Taliesin Jaffe is playing. It becomes very, very difficult when the character that is you does something that you would never do. Because at that point, you've already decided that this is me. The character does exactly what I want, and I've decided this is what I would do in this situation. And then someone tells you, no, you're wrong. That's not what you would do in this situation. This is what you would do in that situation. That is incredibly damaging to your psyche. I know from personal experience, having survived emotional abuse, I have had my abusers convince me flat out that I was wrong about how I thought and the decisions I would make. I've had abusers that have flat out told me, no, this is the decision you're going to make because of this, and this. And they took the choice away from me. And it messed me up really, really bad. Having your agency taken from you by someone else is not okay. It is an incredibly dehumanizing process, and it messes you up permanently. I'm not saying you can't get through it, you can't survive, you can't get better, become a better person because of it, but your life changes when someone takes your agency away. And I think that's what these people are experiencing, is they have so heavily invested in a character that they have decided that is me. Again, it could be conscious, it could be subconscious. I'm not saying these people are actively doing this, but they just heavily involve themselves in these stories, which is good. You should get involved in stories that you love. But they inserted themselves into the stories, and then someone else made a decision for them, for the character they had decided is them. And it took their agency away. And that's not okay. It's... Thank you, phone. My phone doesn't believe it's okay either. It is never okay to take away someone's agency, to take away someone's ability to choose their own path. And that's what these people feel, again, I think, this is my theory, that's what these people are going through. Now, does that mean what Matt Mercer or anyone else did is wrong? Absolutely not. These people have put themselves in a situation that they shouldn't have. And they have created a very, very negative, toxic situation by connecting themselves with a fictional character so strongly. That is not healthy. However, it is not because they're evil, controlling, disgusting people. It is because they have seen something. They have seen representation. We always hear constantly now, representation matters. Being able to see yourself in a movie, in a television show, up on a screen, in a video game, in a book, being able to see yourself there is important. It is inspiring. It helps you to strive to be better than you actually are. These people are seeing themselves reflected in these characters. That is a noble thing. Unfortunately, they have created a very bad relationship with that representation, where they've allowed that representation to define themselves instead of letting themselves define their representation. So I don't believe these toxic people that are spewing horrible things. I don't believe they're bad people. I believe they are hurt people. They are marginalized people that have been pushed to the wayside for a million different reasons. It might be the color of their skin. It might be their sexual orientation, their identity. It might be other things. It might be their interests. It might be that they have abusers in their own lives that have taken away their agency and their choice. They may be victims of abuse themselves, and this was a way that they found that they could deal with that feeling of being left out. The critter community itself in Critical Role is built on the idea of inclusivity. And for people that have been excluded time and time again, that inclusivity can be a very, very addicting the thing. It's very, very welcome. And so these people attach themselves because for once they have found something in media, they have found something in entertainment that speaks to them personally, that makes them think, oh wow, I can exist outside my own little world. I am good enough to exist in the rest of the world with famous actors and in entertainment, and there are people out there like me. All of this, I believe, comes from a positive place and just gets a negative twist when it's taken too far. And again, I don't think most of these people are doing it intentionally. I think it's a byproduct of being marginalized extremely for any number of reasons. And so when they sit there and they find this thing that they identify so hard with, and they finally feel accepted, and then that thing which they've decided is them, that is their representation, does something completely wrong. Makes a decision they would never in a million years make in their little life. They've just had that agency that they were starting to win back because, look, I can exist in the real world. It's right there. I am a worthwhile human being. Well, no, you're not, because you make wrong decisions. This is the right decision. You see, the character chose this, and you were going to make them to choose that. No, you're wrong. You're not a part of this. This isn't you. This isn't your representation. You don't exist here. When you look at it from that direction, you can understand why someone would react so horribly to it. Now, again, this is understanding why they're doing it. This is not justifying. I'm not saying what they did was okay, but you cannot fix the problem if you don't know why it happened. So I think instead of telling these people they're scum, they're disgusting, they are not critters, they do not belong here, and we need to excise them from our group, what we need to tell them is, hey, you matter. Your feelings matter. Your experiences matter. And the representation you see in Critical Role matters as well. What you're doing right now is not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone else. But that's okay. People do unhealthy things. Doesn't make them unworthy of existing. It means they did something wrong. And sometimes when you make choices that are the wrong choices, when you do things that are not healthy, sometimes you can correct yourself, and sometimes you need help. And that's what the critter community is built on. So I am going to declare right now, if you are one of these toxic shippers that are yelling at the Critical Role cast, that are sending death threats, which, to be 100% honest, I'm not sure if they were death threats sent. I just know that's what happens a lot. There may be no death threats. I'm so used to it happening now. But if you're one of these toxic people that is harassing the cast, that is harassing critters, that are turning this into a really, really horrible situation, it's okay. I get it. I understand. I cannot sympathize, but I empathize. I've been there. I've had my agency taken away. I've watched my representation go away. And I'm still here. And thanks to some amazing, wonderful people, I've continued moving forward. I'm not in a good place. Not at all. But I'm moving forward. And you can too. So if you're hurt, if you're in pain about what's happened, that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be hurt. These are real emotions. You're allowed to feel them. You need to stop attacking people because it's not going to help you. I understand it feels good and it gives you a sense of control. It's not going to help. What you do need to do is you need to reach out and ask for help. There are a lot of people in this community that will help. And outside of this community, there are professionals that can help you. I cannot recommend highly enough talking to someone that is trained and licensed to deal with this stuff. I have a therapist. I've had multiple therapists. They have helped me learn things about myself. So if you can, ask for help. If you don't want to get it from the critter community because they have told you that you're a horrible, disgusting person that doesn't belong, understand that. That's okay. You don't have to ask people for help that have attacked you. Talk to the therapist. Talk to your doctor. There are a lot of resources out there to help you. For any of the critters that are calling for these people to be excised, I understand. I understand why you think that. I understand that you're doing what you can to protect the community. What you're doing is wrong. You're not protecting the community. You're helping it to fracture. And that's okay. You're allowed to do the wrong thing. Doesn't mean you're a horrible, disgusting person. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be a part of any group you will want to be a part of. It means you're doing something wrong and you need to stop. If you can't stop, you need to ask for help. That's really important. Ask for help. It's unbelievably difficult to do, but it's worth it. So, that's my little spiel. I still don't like shipping. I never will. It's not something I enjoy. But just because people are doing something I don't enjoy doesn't mean they're horrible people. Just because people are doing horrible things does not make them unworthy of being human, of being loved. And if we stop trying to cut out all the people that we decide don't fit our purity test and start trying to talk to these people, treat them like human beings, and help them deal with the experiences that are causing them to make these bad choices, the whole world would be a lot better. It's all for me today. See you guys in the next time. All right. Bye-bye.